Standard of Practice 16-13. All dealings concerning property exclusively listed or with buyers who are subject to an exclusive agreement shall be carried on with the client's agent or broker and not with the client, except with the consent of the client's agent or broker, or except where such dealings are initiated by the client.
Yeah, once again, we were talking about this earlier, in which if you want to talk to the seller and they have a listing broker, you have to go directly to the listing broker. You can't contact the seller directly.
So, John, you've got a listing, little case study. You've got a listing, and I get an offer on the property, and rather than call you, I go directly to your seller. Am I in violation?
You're going to be in violation. Now, suppose the day before you had come in with an offer and we had gone to the seller. So I'd even introduced you to the seller. But it didn't work out that day, and so the next day you're talking to the buyer and there's going to be a slight change. Can you now go back to that seller, being that you had gone with me the day before?
I don't think without your permission, according to this particular standard of practice, I'd be in violation of this article based on this standard of practice.
Right, unless for each time that you're going to go talk directly to that client, you get the permission and consent of the agent involved.
Standard of Practice 16-14. Realtors are free to enter into contractual relationships or to negotiate with sellers and buyers or others who are not subject to an exclusive agreement, but shall not knowingly obligate them to pay more than one commission except with their informed consent.
Well, it's a common thread that we've had here. It's disclosure and then getting informed consent.
Yeah, and in this case, again, remember that these particular standards of practice and these articles are duties to realtors. You're really doing this to be honest and upfront with other realtor professionals.
And notice also that under many of your state licensing laws, they do not address the issue about whether or not you have to present all offers through the listing broker or not. And we said very early that the ethical standards here in the code often are elevated or greater than the minimum legal standards, and this is a good example of that.
Standard of Practice 16-15. In cooperative transactions, realtors shall compensate cooperating brokers and principal brokers, and shall not compensate nor offer to compensate directly or indirectly any of the sales licensees employed by or affiliated with other realtors without the prior express knowledge and consent of the cooperating broker. Again, John, one of those things we find in license law with regard to compensating another broker's agents.
The agent or the sales associate works under and through and is actually the agent for the broker. The broker typically has those contractual relationships with the buyer or the seller client. And sometimes it works that the listing broker might talk to the seller who has changed their mind, let's say, about not going through with a particular contract, and it's okay with the buyer that they don't, but that the sales associate says, wait a minute, now I earn my commission. And the listing broker says, the seller's under a real hardship here. We're not going to go enforce our commission rights. The sales associate does not have a right to go directly after the seller.
Go to the seller. Although they might have some kind of agreement or right under their employment agreement with their broker, that's a whole other issue.
Exactly.